we've been cooking this for 20 minutes now at just a very slow simmer, so because you don't want it to stick on the bottom, and I've kept stirring it to make sure it did not stick on the bottom. Now we are ready to strain it because we got to separate the milk from the Okara. I'm just using a plain old piece of cheesecloth you can buy at any fabric store. Works just fine. And I'm going to lay it over my strainer so I make sure I catch all of the pulp. Now we're going to strain it through here. And you see we got a lot of thick stuff here on the bottom. I'll turn the pot around so you can see. And that's the Okara, which we will also use. We don't want anything to go to waste. It looks very much like your mealy mealy. In fact, when you do your mealy mealy for porridge, you could add some of this and you would never know it was in there, and you just think of the nutritional value that that would add. So what I'm going to do now is gather my corners of my cloth so I don't lose it. And what we're basically doing is just straining out that milk. Okay, since my milk is coming clear up to my strainer, I'm going to move my strainer to another bowl. So I have some pushing room. This is very hot, so I'm not going to push it with my fingers, but what works great, if you have a potato masher or even a spoon would work, to just push it so that you get the milk to come out of this Okara. Just let it drain into the bowl. And it's just a matter of keeping pushing it until you make sure you get as much liquid as you possibly can get out of there. We're going to be using all of it, but you basically are looking to be looking for the milk. Now this milk that we just made is not going to have much flavor to it, and so you probably won't use it for the children to drink directly. It'll probably go on their porridge, or you'll use it for cooking purposes. But if they were to drink it, just think of some flavors that the kids like. One of the things the recipe suggests is dates. You might want to add some dates to it to give it a little sweetness and a little of that date flavor. Or you might just basically want to add a little sugar, but we don't want to get too carried away, because then we don't want to introduce any more sugar to their diet than they can already manage to get. Just keep it until you have this. You can get, quite a bit of this liquid out of here. Okay, I think we've done a pretty good job of getting all of that liquid out of there. See, we got quite a bit more when you look at it. So we got this much milk out of that little bit of beans. I mean, it's just amazing. And this is what we have left. And this is called the Okara. And it's basically the pulp of the beans. Now at this stage, see, it looks just about like your mealy mealy. So if you blended it in with your cereal, You probably wouldn't even know it was in there. Or I'm going to show you how to make a really simple cracker that the kids will love. Or if you don't want to even use it for that, this makes absolutely wonderful chicken feed. So you're not going to waste any of these beans when you get through. And I understand you have a good supply of beans, so that shouldn't be an issue. Now this milk will keep in a closed container up to at least a week, you know, if you keep it refrigerated. So even if you only wanted to make milk, say, once a week, depending on your need and how much you're going to use, will dictate how often you want to make milk. So keep that in mind. I'm going to move this container. And I'm going to use, maybe just to help you out, I should measure a little bit so you know what you're doing. I tend to cook sometimes without measuring too good. But I'm going to use a cup of Okara. And as you see when I was lifting that, it's pretty dry at this stage. We've gotten most of the moisture out of it, which is good. Because then we won't have to incorporate that much flour into it. Then I'm going to add some salt. And, you know, that's all a matter of taste because you're going to season it afterwards. Should have gotten all this out. Then I'm going to put in a teaspoon of baking powder. And it really won't raise, but it just gives it a little more texture if you put that in there. And then I'm going to add enough flour to hold this together so that I get a dough that I can work with. And that you're going to have to just go with by feel because you never know for sure how dry you're going to get your Okara. So I'm going to start with about a half a cup. And see when you can get it to start holding itself together. So you see it didn't take a lot of flour. You're going to have more soy than anything here. You'll probably have a nice board you'll roll this on. My counter works fine. But the main thing is put some of this out here. I like to work it with my hands a little bit to get it so it sticks together. See, you know, I got every bit of that out of the bowl because it all just clings together. It's a little sticky, so that's why I put the flour down. And I'm going to roll it about what a normal cracker thickness is. You know, you don't want them to be monsters, but it's up to you. Now you see those black specks in there. You will probably be using beans that will not have the black specks on them, so you won't have that in yours, so you don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to cut these into, whatever shape you like. Triangles or oblongs are always good. It doesn't really matter. Then I'm going to put a little oil in my pan. And I'm not going to use a lot because you don't want, the main thing is you just need something that will just brown them a little bit on the outside. And something I like to put on them for flavor is Parmesan cheese. But use whatever flavor you like. You guys have a wonderful flavoring. And it's, I can't think of the name of it, but it's like about 7 spices all mixed into together, and it comes in a shaker, and all you have to do is shake it out then. And it works great on these. We'll get our oil hot, and then we're going to stick them in and fry them up a little bit. And that is it. That's your quick treat. And you've used up all your product. You don't have anything going to waste. See if our oil is hot yet. Try a little piece here. No, needs a little more heat. You don't want it to soak up all the grease. Just about there. But I see you mainly probably using the milk as a base for your porridge in the morning or in whatever else you're cooking. If you're cooking, if you're making cookies, if you're making bread, whatever, this milk works just as well as cow's milk, and you have that extra nutrition. So don't be afraid to use it as a substitute for your other milk. You may not get the children to drink it directly, and maybe that's not going to be an issue. Maybe that's not something you need to do. Okay, now I think we can start putting these in. We'll see how they go. We're going to make our own crackers. Our own soy crackers. Even if you had spaghetti sauce and use them for dipping, use that for dipping sauce. The thing is to use the flavors that you know that you will eat, that you're used to. Because the point is, if the kids don't eat it, it's not going to do them any good. And it doesn't take much to get them done. And if you want them thinner, that's fine. You know, that's not, make them whatever thickness you like. And they cook up pretty fast. Think what a wonderful after-school snack this would be. And a little grease goes a long way, so you don't have to have a lot of grease in your pan. When we were doing them at Face, we were having trouble keeping them cooked fast enough before the ladies were eating them faster than we could cook them. Once your grease gets hot, they go pretty fast. And once they come out, that's when you want to put flavoring on them. It doesn't matter whether you use just plain salt. If you decide you want, you know, something like this, or if you have some other seasoning that you really like, go with what, you know, is a fun flavor for you. I don't get busy here, I'm going to burn them. The thing that requires the most time is soaking the beans. So if you just remember to put them to soak the night before, that's 3/4 of the battle right there. The rest of this doesn't take any time at all. In a matter of an hour, you can have your milk done and your crackers done and you're through. So I think that's basically it. Good luck. I wish you well. If you have questions, get them back to Dan and he can ask me and we can go from there.
Thank you, Barb Overley.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.